Hi, welcome back, everyone. In the previous session, we heard the panelists how they started young and their entrepreneurial journey so far. In this session, we go to the other side of the table and discuss another discussion and the dimension of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. All of us present here would have observed this trend in the past few years that more and more startups are being founded by college students and fresh graduates. The rising trend could be attributed to various factors, but the most important are the ones who trust and back these young founders. To discuss more on this, I would like to welcome Gaurang Shetty, CEO of Riddle, Gaurav Mishra, founder of Navyuvak, and Vatsal Kanakia, CTO at 100x VC. Thank you guys for joining us today for the launch event. Let's start the session with a brief introduction from each one of you. So, Gaurang, we can start with you. Uh, Gaurang, we can start with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hello, my name is Gaurang and I run in incubation center in the Somaya campus. So Somaya Vidyavara University has over 40,000 students and over 3,000 plus faculty and staff. So we created an incubation center in 2010, and we wanted to actually facilitate the projects which were being done in the institute. And that's how everything fell into place, and we had some good quality projects which eventually became startups, and these startups eventually helped us get access to a lot of different people, and we started building communities around these startups, and that's how a lot of students now are doing meaningful projects which are actually taken out in the market with the help of our alumni entrepreneurs and our existing Riddle team. So currently we have like three. We operate in three buckets. So the first bucket is incubation. The second bucket is labs, wherein we have a fab lab, do-it-yourself biology lab. We have like multiple labs set up for tinkerers, innovators, makers. And the third bucket is community, wherein we have like the largest community of innovators, makers in India. So we called it Maker Mela. So you can go to makermela.com and check the details. We have a huge community of over 10,000 innovators in the network. Then we have like a developers community. So from Facebook, we have like the Facebook Developer Circles Mumbai. So there is a group on Facebook where you can join in and you can ask your queries. So if you are a developer on React, Rebound, and other platforms or Facebook tools, you can go and resolve your queries there. And then we also have a community called Darwin, wherein we have 101 biohackers every year who come, and we have experts from Harvard, MIT, and different institutions from across India who come and interact with these biohackers and makers. Yeah, so that's it from my side.
So, Gaurav, you can go next.
Thank you, Amicha. Sorry. So, hi, Gaurang and Vatsal. So, my name is Gaurav Mishra. I'm the founder of Navyuvak Entrepreneurs. We are also into student entrepreneurship development from last 5 years, and I personally admire Gaurang's work, also his dedication. So, basically, we invest in student startups. We also have an education program for entrepreneurship, and we also help ESLs to set up in colleges. So this is what we do in short. And we also work with state governments to set up their incubators and policy making.
So, anything you want to talk, Gaurav, about your entrepreneurial journey? Like, I mean, if you can just add on to that as well, that would be great.
So my entrepreneurship journey is something different. So I started my first venture at the age of 16, uh, 15, 16, and I'm 27 now. So I've seen the concept of entrepreneurship or student entrepreneurship has come when I have seen the student. So every college has 10 student startups already, and when I was doing something way back, I saw that even Mitibai college, everybody wants to do something or they want to earn money. But so my vision is not to have a short-term money making with the students, have a long-term journey and legacy created within the students. So I started. I opened my own club in Mauritius and sold it, and now I'm in India, and from last technically registered I'm doing from 5 years Navyuvak Entrepreneurs, but freelancing from last 7-8 years entrepreneurship journey. And my mission is to create 1,000 student starters by 2025.
Nice. So Vatsal, over to you.
Thanks, Gaurav and Gaurang. Great to hear and learn so much about your work. And Gaurang, I mean, I know about your journey at least from a student perspective because I personally was a student of KJ Somaya College of Engineering. So absolutely appreciate the work you guys do at Riddle. Coming to my journey, I'm the CTO at 100x VC. We're an early stage venture fund. Focused on India. We invest the first check into portcos through the iSafe note, which is the India Simple Agreement for Future Equity. I won't go into detail on that, but you can check it out on our website, and it's a very, very founder-friendly document. We typically tend to work very closely with portcos from, especially if they're idea stage, from the get-go to help them refine the pitch, their business model, their go-to-market, get them the right clients, partners, connects, get them to a point where they're more fundable, and then work with them to help them raise a larger round post our check, of course. And personally, I graduated from KJ Somaya. I'm a computer engineer. Worked with MIT Media Labs, Morgan Stanley. Post that, worked for a bit with Venture Catalyst, Mumbai Angels, and then led 12 odd deals in the US for a family office, and since then have been part of the 100x family. I typically work with a lot of young founders and companies on their product roadmap, development, whatever it is, tech related or product related. And we've backed 20 startups in our first class last year, and we'll soon be revealing our next class. And actually, we've started looking for our third set of investments already. So if you're looking to work with us, please do send us a pitch, and happy to take a look.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. So moving on with us next part of the session, where I just would like to know from each one of you about your perspective, that what is it that you look for in a young founder, and like in your experience, what eventually works out for them in the long run. So we can start with you, Gaurav.
Ability to fail and have patience. So what I see, I don't see the idea, but personally I see the hunger and ready to fail is really important. Because if you when you're starting up, you should not be have an egoistic attitude. Ready to fail, learn faster, and listen to others and listen to advisors. Don't that you are your own boss, so listen to other advisors. That's what I see in the young founder. First.
Okay, and then, like, as per your experience, like, how do you want to put it, like, when they are into that zone where they have an idea and they are into that youth entrepreneurship zone, that how eventually things work out for them, like when they are in that process?
Basically, they need to understand that it will be very hard to convince when you're starting up. For when I started my first venture, it was very difficult to convince my parents. And when I started, the first thing, make your parents your best friend, and they are your investors first, not the market. They are your first customers. You're able to convince them, you can convince anyone, and they will only be convinced if you are honest with them and you do hard work. Because if investor, customer, or an accelerator cannot do anything unless you have a family support. A family support will only come if you are true to your family and honest to them.
True.
That's the first basic foundation starts. People don't talk about it, but that's the first base. No accelerator will tell, but that's the first basic. Because many student starters fail because of parental pressure or friendships. They start with the friends and their friends are gone to US or something, other problems. If even founder wants to stay, they need to be honest that कि पार्टनर छोड़ के जाएंगे तो हमें आगे लेके जाने का है. तो go alone strategy should be there with the founders.
Got it. Yeah. So Gaurang, your thoughts?
So so I really believe, like, in the last 10 years we have seen like a lot of students starting up. So most of the students who succeeded were very good at building things. So when they started building their prototypes, so they didn't leave it halfway, they kept on improvising it, and those guys are now like good startups today. And most of them who were juggling between building things and then just focusing on like the like the business part and didn't focus on innovating continuously, most of them died off. Like the biggest challenge was for them to upgrade themselves, which they were not doing continuously, and they were constantly looking for CTO. It became a trend in between. Like in the last 3-4 years, I met so many startup founders who need a CTO. I don't know why. अगर आप एक टेक प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हो, you need to know what is going on in the tech, otherwise you're irrelevant, right? Otherwise the CTO will start his own company and you will become an employee. No one will listen to you. So I think building things, knowing the tech of what you're doing, if you're a tech company, that is very important. And the second part is like understanding the pattern, like say understanding the timing or the situation, like when you are launching a product or when you are deploying a product in a particular market. For example, if you don't know that okay, अभी पैंडेमिक शुरू है और कौन सा टाइप का बिजनेस शुरू करना है, या अपने कौन सा आपका प्रोडक्ट रेडी है, इफ यू हैव अ प्रोडक्ट रेडी एंड यू नीड टू पिवट, so what kind of pivot you need to do. So I think speaking to people gives you a lot of ideas. So if you are a founder, I think you should speak to a lot of people, and that will help you get more clarity on which direction you need to jump into. Many founders, again, we have interacted with, they are very shy and they don't speak much. So I think, don't, like, if there are 2 founders or 3 founders, I think one can be focused on the tech part, another has to go and network around and share more. If you are scared of your idea getting robbed or theft, then I think you are in your own bubble. Sharing actually helps you evolve better and helps you do more. So these are the 2 things which I think startups can focus on. Student startups.
Okay, so when you focus on the the initial challenges that you said, right, that these are few of the challenges that they need to overcome, and when you say that they need to speak about it and kind of take guidance or seek guidance from somebody in the ecosystem, so what kind of people they should initially connect with, or how should they overcome this dilemma, or what would you say, they would have lot many questions, right? So being part of a program is one thing, but
Yeah.
when you talk of they should network with people, how should they do that in the initial stages?
They should simply participate in all these business plan competitions or project
Okay.
fairs. There are so many innovation competitions right now. You see, every company is throwing an innovation challenge, so they can
Yeah.
participate in most of these innovation challenges, hackathons, and meet a lot of people there. I'm not talking to just go and speak to mentors, but they can speak to so many students of their own age, their peers, and bouncing ideas with them would actually give them more better clarity on what they are doing right now. Because a mentor who has 10-15 years of experience won't very know the tech very well, but he would know the industry very well. But
Yeah.
bouncing ideas with his peers would actually help him get more clarity on the tech part, or maybe the product in general, or actually going out and presenting to people, say in a business plan competition, or maybe in a hackathon, would actually get him first-hand customers. Many corporates would be interested to buy or to license of such products.
Yeah.
So it's not just like join an acceleration program, it's like participate in as many competitions, events, and validate yourself. So validation, you get a good validation when you do such activities.
Yeah. Got it. So what's it, your thoughts? Vatsal, you there?
Sorry, Gaurang and Gaurav both. I mean, there's yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So there might be some slight lag, it seems, but I'll kind of give my response anyway. But great points from Gaurang and Gaurav. I think something maybe I can add here would be, one is we only take you as seriously as you take yourself, right? As an investor. So if you are thinking of yourself as a student entrepreneur, you're thinking, well, I don't know, I'm gonna fail this, that. Why don't you mentor me? Why don't you tell me if this is a good idea? I mean, all from an investor perspective, then if you're currently a student entrepreneur, right? You have to be responsible.
Sorry to interrupt, Vatsal. Actually, your voice is bit patchy. So maybe like you can, just switch off your video and maybe just talk. Maybe that will save some. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
There's some internet.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
You are.
Yeah, so
Yeah. No
just
worries. No worries.
quickly to cap off that point, right? So idea is take yourself seriously if you want to be taken seriously by investors. And I would say read up about being lean, read a lot about other startups, their stories. Don't just read about how much fundraising they've done. The startup game is not about fundraising. It's not about what valuations you get. It's about building a business that fulfills you, right? So it's not necessarily you have to raise venture funding. It's not necessarily you have to take the same journey as all other startups. Every startup or every company has a different journey, right? So the more you read up upon how companies can be built, the better you can imagine your company growing and find the right path. And lastly, of course, I would say the best way to find a problem to solve is to look for problems that you yourself and your colleagues are facing, and then take various steps and experiments to validate those problems.
Okay. Okay. So, when you talk of take try to understand the problem statements that exist right now, like say if like they're starting and they're at the very early stage, how they should try to overcome these challenges or problem statements that they have. Like, I mean, as Gaurang said that, try to attend as many innovation challenges and hackathons, but in terms of like their investor perspective, problem statements or probably some queries or challenges they face, so how would you want to
Sure.
kind of tell them, like give your share your thoughts on it?
So let me take an example here. For let's say you're thinking of you're a student, you're thinking, well, I hate working on my assignments. I wish
Yeah.
I could pay somebody else to do my assignments. Then you realize, wait, there are people who can actually do this, but it's very tough to find those. So then your idea comes about, okay, I think I should build a marketplace where you can go as a student and buy out an assignment creator, right? But how do you validate this idea? So the simplest version of this is, you might think is survey forms, but I disagree. I don't believe survey forms are a good metric of anything. People survey में कुछ लिखते हैं and actual behavior is something very different. So then what you do is, maybe as an MVP, you just built a simple website saying getyourassignmentsdone.com, and you build a sign up form saying sign up here if you want early access to our marketplace. And then you try to publicize this in your student WhatsApp group, in your Facebook WhatsApp group, or Facebook groups of students, or whatever you have, right? What does this give you? It costs you barely anything. Hosting a website on GitHub is free. Domain name is very cheap. You can get it for 400, $500, right? And for those bucks, if you do it through those channels and you get some signups, then you have validation that people are actually looking for this solution to this problem. So that's some basic level of validation. Now your hypothesis has been validated to some point, and then you change it. Okay, let me try to actually build it a little bit more and try to validate how much people are actually engaging with this product. So this way you build a cycle of trying to create that hypothesis, or thought in your mind. Okay, does this actually work? Then you try to build the minimum version of that idea, where you think, let me try it out this way. And if that, from that minimal version, you try to sell it across to potential clients, and whatever your data or response you get, on that basis you can actually reiterate, does this idea work or not, right? So this is what I love to see from student entrepreneurs as well, because from a student perspective, you typically do not have as much access to world knowledge as a more mature entrepreneur, right? So you're not aware about what potentially problems people in the world are facing. You have a smaller worldview. So that's where any student who's able to bring that experimentation mindset, where they've tried and failed multiple problems and tried to kind of iterate on what fits and what doesn't, that works very well from an investor perspective, and we love to see that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. That's so coming on to the next question, like since you all have been, an integral part of this ecosystem, what do you think has changed for student entrepreneurs in India over the past few years? Like, I mean, you guys can share, each one of you can share your thoughts on that, like how you see the change. So, Gaurav, we can go with you.
So a lot of opportunities have come, a lot of exposure has come, a lot of activities are happening in colleges. As Gaurang told, a lot of B plan hackathons are happening. Like even government of India is doing Smart India hackathon. A lot of things have changed. Every colleges now want to promote entrepreneurship now because of the ranking, AIC and Actual Innovation ranking. More placements are not important now. The Actual Innovation ranking is more important for colleges now. I don't know for what reason. So something is given and that is more important now. The college has taken out responsibility. So things have changed and the benefit for students also. So lot of exposure, ranking, support system is there, and program like Future 50 is also coming, which will create a lot of horizons to students also. Because if you see, tier 2, tier 3 cities have much more better ideas. Because I went to Maharashtra's tier 2 like Akola, Nagpur. I have seen Solapur, Kolhapur. I have seen there are better ideas from Bombay. There's no hunger in cities. So sorry for saying that I'm from Bombay, but I have seen that ideas, and we three are from Bombay, but nothing against Bombay, but they have better ideas and hunger because there's no opportunity. So ecosystem is there, and Mumbai has an ecosystem. We need to create more ecosystem outside our own tier 1 cities. And as I said again, a lot of incubators, accelerators are there, and exposure is there. Students have knowledge because of economic times, and a lot of things are happening. And currently, because of a lot of funding by Reliance coming in, people are hungry to take a lot of startups to do. And this is it.
Okay. Yeah. So, Gaurang, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think like most of the students who start companies, I think if they start with the right intention, ऐसे नहीं कि किसी का investment देख लिया, like they've seen like some startup is raising a ton of money, so मैं startup चालू करूँगा. So I think starting with the right intention is very important. So I think like what Gaurav also said, I relate to that. Like many of the students from tier 2, tier 3 cities have been coming up with better like problem statements, better solutions. But then right now, what I believe is like information is available at no cost, right? Everything is very transparent. To get access to things also is very easy nowadays. आपको अगर कुछ जानना है, so for example, if you want to know about say machine learning, blockchain or any technology in the world, से सिंपल आपको लॉजिस्टिक्स के बारे में समझना है तो आप यू कैन जस्ट साइन अप फॉर अ ऑनलाइन कोर्स, लर्न अबाउट इट क्विकली, सी अ प्रेजेंटेशन और अ बिजनेस प्लान ऑफ एनी एग्जिस्टिंग स्टार्टअप, गेट एक्सेस टू इन्वेस्टर्स ऑन एन, इमीडिएटली आपको सब कुछ मिल जाएगा. So you don't need to break your head to find information about all these things. What you need to break your head is to understand your first 100 customers and what do they need. Will they pay you money immediately? अगर आपने solution दिखा दिया तो वो immediately आपको पैसा देंगे क्या? Will you be able to convert them at one instance? Is this a very highly scalable idea? So many people think हाँ मैंने बना दिया ना 10 लोग यूज कर रहे हैं, I'm happy. But then I believe that if your invention is good and if you can help a million people, why not? So people should ask these questions to themselves, like is this a really scalable idea? If do you think is the right time for you personally to start this company, and personally the timing for the product? मतलब अगर आप launch कर रहे हो, is this a good time for, let's say, pandemic situation? Someone has asked a question. Do you think during the pandemic situation, how are we navigating the startups? So if any startup has an existing business model and currently the pandemic system is not allowing him to operate, so he has to be very proactive. He has to get access and look at what other startups are doing globally, and then he can absorb that particular method to improvise. So I think information is there. It depends on the startup founder to like connect the dots. Like this is again, I'm resonating with the first thing what I told. You should connect your dot. You should speak to your community of customers, users, and understand how can you connect to them in a better way. Like अभी समझो PUBG बैन हो गया, ठीक है, so everyone is looking for different alternatives. Someone will launch like multiple games on similar lines, but then this is an opportunity, right? This is a timing set by the government now, so similar products would get a lot of traction. So I think that if people are trying to make similar games, they should focus on that quality. Like why would a player download PUBG because of that experience, because of that quality, because of the fluidity of the game, not just because of like multiplayer. है multiplayer तो बहुत सारे games है, but then there are so many small things which people appreciate. So I think if there is a quality game from India, people would definitely download it, and this is the right time for developers to build things and deploy it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's thank you, Garang. So, Vatsil?
No, echoing Gaurav and Gaurang's thoughts, I think things have changed for the better over the last few years. There's a ton of VCs in the Indian ecosystem now, and unlike earlier, where the bets used to be more on experienced founders, we've started to, learn to kind of love working with young founders because young founders are typically best placed to actually build, right? Because they have no liabilities, they have pretty much nobody to take care of unless, I mean, of course there are cases, but most of us are have the ability to be shackle free until you're 20, late 20s, until you're not married, don't have kids, to be able to not take a salary, to be able to build your business, to be able to work out of your home, and try to build a business, right? So as compared to other ages where there's a lot more responsibility, it's just much more risk free for early founders. And because early founders do not typically come from the same background as a particular industry, they also bring very new angles to each business, right? Where they think very out of the box. So from that perspective, I think lots of changes, and the outlook for young founders is only positive, I would say. We personally have invested in founders as young as 2021, and hoping to go even beyond that. In fact, our founder Sanjay Mehta, he invested in Oyo Rooms when Ritesh was, I think, 17, right? So we've been part of the young founder game from the beginning, and we continue to do so, believe so.
Thank you guys for sharing these thoughts, and what is there in the ecosystem. Like validation is the key
I wanted to
access, easy access. Yeah, Garang, you were saying something.
yeah. Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to add
Right.
one more point. So again, like one thing which we observed in the ecosystems in the last 10 years is, so there is a different kind of experience and time required for hardware and biotech. So mostly people talk about IT startups, and IT startups scale so quickly, but then I think there are a lot of startups popping up in the biotech domain. So we started a bio incubator, and we're supporting a lot of other bio entrepreneurs because they require machinery, they require equipments, they require a lot of materials. For hardware startups also, they require multiple facilities like rapid prototyping facilities like 3D printers, milling machines, CNC. So I think the gestation period or the time required for these ideas to materialize is very comparatively very high. For example, a hardware startup would typically take 2 years to like develop, get 100 customers, validate, and then get all the certifications in place. Maximum 2 years. And a biotech startup may take a maximum time of 3 years. So say 24 to 36 months, whereas the software startup can do all these things in a span of 12 months. So I think again, like as a student founder, if you're starting a biotech company, it is very good to associate with a incubation center or an acceleration program, wherein you can get all these facilities, existing facilities. Like you just need to go there, use their lab, use like doing everything by yourself. Am I audible? I think everyone.
Yeah. It was just for a few
Yeah.
seconds. Yeah.
So I think if you are a biotech entrepreneur, I think you just need to associate with these incubators, accelerators, and use their facilities and start building prototypes rather than spending your own money, because I think like these prototypes are very expensive sometimes. For hardware startups also, I would recommend the same thing. For IT startups, I think you can go very lean and do everything at your on your own at your house. But then for these two kind of startups, and there are multiple startups who work in different domains, so I think if you require support in terms of infrastructure, chemicals, so you should definitely go and pair up with these industry accelerators or institution accelerators like Riddle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for this information to everyone out there. So now let's open for some questions from the audience. So everyone out there in the attendees, you can either raise hand to come onto the stage to ask question, or you can put up the questions in the question window. So, any questions? Okay. So maybe I think no questions. Any which ways you guys have like given like all the information required for everybody out there. So quickly before we wind up with the session, like just a quick advice or a message that you would want to give to all the student or youth entrepreneurs, if you want to put it that way. So we can start with any of you. Like we can like.
Sure. Maybe I'll start off.
Yeah.
Uh, my only take is don't be scared of taking risks. Don't look for external validation from the beginning. Try to validate internally from your side. If you're confident, like I said, if you believe in yourself and if you, kind of believe, make yourself feel real, then others will treat you the same way, right? So just be confident in yourself, and yeah.
Yeah, Gaurav, you want to go
So,
next?
Okay. One thing I would like to say, what Vatsal said, take risk but be patient, because you'll not get result in 1-2 years. And don't think that don't give up, because mostly the scene is in the student startup ecosystem is that they stop their idea by the third year because of placement. Give a chance for 1 year, because many colleges now is offering a deferred placement policy, or they can get, for a 1 year, if they do a startup, they'll get a better job compared to other people. So 1 year trying is not a problem. So don't give up too easily and be ready to fail.
yeah, and like on similar lines, I would encourage everyone to keep building products. Like if you can quickly build things, validate it, and then if it does not work, then move on to the next prototype. I think that would be the best way to go ahead, because you're still students, right? You have like all the time in the world till your graduation to actually prove something. So I think you can keep on building prototypes, keep on validating it, get your first 100 customers, and then jump into it.
Thank you guys for sharing your perspective with us and backing the young founders. So with this, we come to end to this session. We'll be back again with our Future 50 launch announcement in the next session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.